Hey, welcome to part 3. Have I scared you off yet? I should have, because I'm telling you, this is no way to make money. Alright, if you're watching part 3, then I guess you really want to learn this stuff, okay? So today, I want to talk about in the money versus out of the money. Now, you may remember in the last video, we were looking at Home Depot. And Home Depot is trading right around $80. And today is June 19th, 2014. So that's where these numbers are coming from. We were looking at the November $75 call, and it was selling at $6.75 per contract share. So you could buy one call contract for $6.75 a share times 100 shares, because each contract is worth 100 shares, so you would pay $675. Now, we talked about in the money. In the money. And remember, now the way we find out how much of this $6.75 is intrinsic value, that is how far it is in the money, we look at what the stock is trading at right now, and we go through the thought experiment of how much money we would make if we exercised this call contract and completed the trade, going completely flat right now. So again, if we were to exercise this call right now, that means we would purchase 100 shares at $75, which is the strike price, and we would immediately sell it into the market for the current price, which is $80. If we do that, 80 is what we get for it. 75 is what we paid for the 100 shares. And again, this is not taking into account the price that we paid. This has nothing to do with what we paid for the call, okay? Nothing. Pretend that doesn't exist. We're trying to calculate in the money. So this call option, again, is $5 in the money. So that's its intrinsic value. That's $5. And to figure out how much is extrinsic, now this is where the $6.75 comes in. Extrinsic. Okay, that's whatever's left. So it's $1.75. Okay, so this $75 call, again, has $5. It's $5 in the money, which means it has $5 of intrinsic value, and it's $1.75 of extrinsic value, which is also time premium. Okay, that's the money that somebody's willing to pay because it doesn't expire until November and they think the call's going to go up. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you know, you're preschoolers. Sometimes you need to hear things 4 or 5 times before it sinks in. That's why it's called preschool. Okay, now, you can also buy options that are out of the money, and that's what I want to talk about now. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at my option chain. The chain is basically a list. The option chain is a price list. It has all the different dates, the expiration dates from the front month, which is right now it's June. The June contracts expire on the 3rd Friday, which just happens to be tomorrow. And then it goes all the way out to January of 2016. So you have all of those dates listed. And then on the right side, you have the puts, which we're not talking about right now. And then on the left side, you have the calls. And they have strike prices listed on each line. And you can look and see those prices per contract share for all those different expiration dates and all those different strike prices. Okay, so what I'm going to look at now is, let's say you don't want to pay $6.75 for this call. I don't know why, because you think it's too expensive or you don't have the money. Don't buy it, okay? Just don't trade stocks or calls, or you can trade stocks. Stocks are, you know, not as difficult, but I don't recommend trading options. I really don't recommend trading options. Okay, I really don't. I'm serious about that. Okay, so instead of the $75 call, let's say you want to buy a call that is not in the money, but rather out of the money. So if something's out of the money, that means it has zero intrinsic value. Okay, it is completely out of the money, which means for a call option, the price of the strike price is above where the stock currently is. So again, the stock's around 80. So if I want to buy an out of the money call, then let's look at the November 85. Okay, the 85, November 85. I'm going to put this over here so I can remember it. The $75 call was $6.75, which was $5 in the money, and $1.75 of extrinsic value, time value. Now looking at the 85, how do we know that's out of the money? Let's do the quick calculation. If we were to exercise this November 85 call right now, what would we get? Well, we would buy 100 shares if we were going to exercise this at $85, and then we would immediately sell it into the market for the current price, which is 80. So what would we do? We would lose $5 per share. That's a negative, all right? That means it's not in the money. It's out of the money. If it's less than zero, it's out of the money. Now, if we were to buy the $80 call for November, oh, I didn't write down the price. Let's write down the price. The $85 call is $1.60. This is $1.60 per contract share for the 85. The $80 call is $3.55. Perfect. All right. So right here, the number's negative. We're going to lose money. It has no intrinsic value. That means every bit of this $1.60, which is the price that you're going to pay for that call if you want to go buy it, every bit of that price is time value. It has no intrinsic value, and all of that is just somebody wanting to pay that extra money because they think the stock is going to go up. The break-even price on this, let's do that real quick. The break-even price is the strike price, which is 85, plus $1.60. So that would be $86.60. That's our break-even. And that happens because if you were to buy one contract, that would cost you $160. And then if the stock price went above 85, let's say it goes to 90, you on expiration you would buy, or at some point before expiration, you would buy 100 shares at $85. So your total is $86.60. That's what you paid. Okay, that is the total amount that you paid for those 100 shares. The 85, which is your exercise price, and the $1.60, which you paid for the call. So what do you need to get for that stock in order to break even? In order to break even, you need to get $86.60. Anything above that, if you sell it into the market at, say, 90, then your gain would be $340. I hope that math makes sense. I know I went through it a little bit quickly for preschoolers. Preschoolers don't usually, they can count, but they don't really know math, which makes me really qualified to teach them because I'm really bad at it. Okay, so the break-even price is $86.60, and it has no intrinsic value. And next we're going to look at the $80 call. Now the $80 call, if you were to exercise that right now, let's find out how much that's in the money, or out of the money, or whatever. If we're to exercise the November 80 call right now, what did I say the stock was at? $80. See that right there? The stock's at $80. This November 80 call, if we were to exercise this right now, we would buy 100 shares at our strike price, which is $80, and then we'd sell it into the market at the market price, which is $80, and we would make nothing. Actually, we would lose money because we have to pay commissions. Damn brokers. No, I'm just kidding. You know, brokers are fine. They need to make their money too. We're all in this together, so let's just don't trade. Just don't trade. Okay, so if that is 0, then that means that is at the money. At the money. If your strike price is the same as the current stock price, then that call is called at the money. If it's at the money, that means it has no intrinsic value, and that means the entire price of the option premium is all extrinsic value. So that call option is, I said, $3.60 per contract share. Every bit of that is time value. That's what someone's willing to pay because they think the stock is going to go up. Now, where's the break even on this one? Again, we add these together. If we want to break even on exercising the call, which again, we're not exercising. We do not do this to exercise. Okay, this is just to help you understand how this works and how the prices are. So the break even would be $80. We're going to pay $80 per share if we exercise it. We already paid $3.60 per share for the call. So if we're going to make any money on this, we need the stock to be above $83.60 because that's our break-even price. Does that all make sense? I wish I could ask you. I mean, I can ask you, but you can't answer. Well, you could tell me in the comments whether this makes sense or not. There we go. Now, why would anyone want to buy an option that had no intrinsic value? Why would anyone want to buy an option that was out of the money? Well, the answer to that is kind of simple. Your $75 call was $6.75. Your $80 call was $3.60 per share. And your $85 call was, my memory's so bad, $1. What did I say? November 85. Right now it's $1.55. Is that what it was before? I can't even remember. Okay, $1.55. I'm going to make that bigger so maybe you can actually read it. Hopefully the video quality is a little better on this one. I turned off everything else on my computer. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay. You can buy the $75 call, which is $5 in the money. You can buy the $80 call, which is at the money and has no intrinsic value. Or you can buy the $85 call, which also has no intrinsic value, but it's a little bit cheaper. Why would you want to buy this one instead of this one or this one? Well, it's cheaper, right? It's $1.55. So if you're going to buy one contract, it's $1.55 per contract share. So one contract is going to cost you a total of $155 plus commissions. Your break even is $85 plus the price you paid. So your break even is $86.55. That's your break even. So you're going to pay a little less. It's cheaper. It's cheaper. But you need the stock to move up to $86.55 in order just to break even. Between now and November, it has to get up at least that high. The $80 one is $360 a contract share. So this one is going to cost you $360. And in order to break even, you need the stock to get to at least 80 plus 360, which is 83.60. There's your break even on that one. If you're going to buy the $75 call, you're going to pay more for it. It's in the money. It's got $5 of intrinsic value. So you're going to pay $675 plus commissions for that. And your break-even price is going to be, it's going to be $81.75. So you're paying a little bit more for this one than for these other two. The farther you get out of the money, the cheaper your call is going to be. People like that for some reason. I think it's a little silly, because you know what happens? As you keep going down here, you can buy the $90 call for 57 cents. Woo, that one's really a bargain, right? Yeah, baby. 57 cents. Now, of course, that one's out of the money. It has no intrinsic value because the stock's way down at 80 and your strike price is way up at 90, so you need the stock to really take off. That's why it's so cheap. It's probably not going to happen. So you pay $57 for this one. But how much do you need that stock to move? You're paying 90 plus 57. Your break even is $90.57. So you need that stock to go up over $10 just to break even. It's cheap, but the probability of that happening is a lot lower. The probability of it staying above 75, or actually you need to stay above 81.75. The probability of it staying or going above 81.75 is higher than it is than the probability is for it going and staying above 90.57. So don't get caught up looking at the prices of these call options. The thing is, you could buy instead of one of these for $675, you could buy 10 or 11 of these and pay the same amount for 10 or 11 contracts. Well, for 10 contracts, it would be $570 if you bought 10 contracts, 10 calls, okay, $570. And if the stock does move a lot, you're going to make some money on that. But it really needs to move a lot. So that's in the money and out of the money, and that's the way the prices move. The farther you go in the money, the more expensive your call option is going to be per contract share, because you're paying for that intrinsic value. But the probability of the stock staying above that strike price is a little bit higher. So your probability of a win is a little bit higher. Your break-even price is lower. As you go deeper in the money, your break-even price is lower. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how these things move. And what I mean by how they move is how the price changes with the stock. One thing you want to know when you buy an option is, what's going to happen to the price of my option? Because remember, we're buying and selling options. We're not buying the call so that we can procure the stock. That's not what we're doing. We're buying and selling the calls. So the question you have to ask yourself is, Home Depot is at $80, and I'm going to buy, let's do the 80. Let's do the at the money call. I'm going to buy the $80 call, and it's going to cost me $3. And did it just go down? Maybe it did a little bit, huh? 80. It's right now. It's I'm going to call it $3.50. Don't let these numbers confuse you. I'm getting these numbers as they happen. This is live. This is the market's open right now, and Home Depot is at $80 on the nose. All right. And the $80 call, which is the at the money call, is $3. The bid ask is $3.40, $3.55. So I'm just going to call it $3.50. Where was I going with this? Yes, we want to know what happens if Home Depot goes to 81. What's going to happen to this call price? I'm kind of curious. Is it going to go, if Home Depot goes up $1, do you think this is going to go up $1? No, it's not going to go up that much. But there's a way to estimate how much that's going to go up. And the way we can estimate that is by looking at the delta. Now don't freak out. I know delta that's a big word for a preschooler, but it's just delta. Pretend it's a big delta in the ocean. It goes out to the ocean, like the Nile or something. A delta. Delta is the change in option price per dollar move of the stock. And I'll say that again. On the option chain, which is again the price list. I don't know why do they call it a chain? Why do they have to make everything so complicated, right? You have all this weird language that you have to learn. Put, call, delta, in the money, out of the money, intrinsic, extrinsic. All right, it's just, once you learn the language, it's much easier. So the delta it's a number that you can find on your option chain, which is your price list. And for the November $80 call for Home Depot, the current delta is 0.51. What does that mean? That means that for each dollar that the underlying stock moves, the call option, which you paid $3.50 for, is going to move 51 cents. Now, if Home Depot goes up to 81, then your call option price will go up by 51 cents. So at a Home Depot price of $81 for the stock, your call option should be worth right around $4 and a penny. Happens the other way too. If the Home Depot stock goes down by $1, if it goes down to 79, then you are going to lose 51 cents on your call option. So in that case, your call option is now going to be worth $2.99. Now that's a pretty big percentage move, For $1 move in the stock, let me get my calculator out. You're moving 50 cents, 51 cents. You paid $3.50. That's almost 15%. That's 15% right there. That's 15% of what you paid for the call. So again, that's a pretty big number. Yeah? I mean, if it goes to 82, then your call is going to be worth $3.50 plus 2 of these deltas, $2. So it's going to go up 51 cents for each dollar. So it's going to go up $1.02. That means your call now is going to be worth $4.52. Now that's a good percent return. That's why people like these. Problem is this one. Okay, if your stock just goes down $1, well, you've lost that 15%, and that's kind of a lot, you know, especially it is. It's a big percentage to lose because it can happen really fast. Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is what happens to the intrinsic value and the extrinsic value as you get closer to expiration. So for this, I want to look at the 75, which is in the money. It was $6.75. That was for the call. This is your strike price. $6.75. We decided since the stock is at 80, this is $5 of intrinsic value, and this is $1.75 of time value, extrinsic value. Now, remember this is because we have until November for the stock to move up to the break-even price, which again is 81. Break-even is 75 plus what you paid for the call. So it's 81.75 as your break-even. So we have $5 of intrinsic value. That's the current price minus the strike. If we exercise it right now, we'd make $5. It's $5 in the money. $1.75 is the time value. Now what happens as we get closer to expiration? What happens to this time value? Remember, we looked in one of the previous videos at what the call option might be if it expired in a couple days. Well, let's look, okay? Let's look at the $80 call. The $80 call, remember, is at the money. Right now, the stock is trading at $80.10. $80.10. The June $80 call, which is at the money, is selling for 33 cents. Now, how much is this in the money? 10 cents. This is 10 cents in the money. That's because if we exercised it right now and sold it into the market, we would pay $80 and we would sell it for $80.10. So that's what we would make. We would make 10 cents. Woohoo! So that's how much it's in the money. So if it's 10 cents in the money, how much is it out of the money? That would be the rest of the call option price. If we're paying 33 cents of it, 33 cents for it, and if 10 cents is in the money, intrinsic value, that means 23 cents is extrinsic value. That's time value. Somebody's willing to pay 23 cents because they think the stock is going to go up above the break-even price. And the break-even price on this is the strike price plus what we paid for the call, $80.33. Someone's willing to pay that $23 of time value because they think between now and the close of business tomorrow, which is when the option expires, they think the stock's going to be higher than $80.33. So that's pretty low. 23 cents per contract share, pretty low. Compared to the November one, let me compare the same strike though. That would help. Okay, on the November 80, remember now that one was $3.50. I'm getting kind of messy here. So the November 80, which is at the money, the price on that one was $3.50. And again, since the stock is at $80.10, this is, again, it's 10 cents in the money. It has 10 cents of intrinsic value because if you exercise it right now, you'd buy for 80 and sell for 80.10. You would make 10 cents, so it's 10 cents in the money. The amount that's out of the money is $3.50, which is what you pay for the entire call if you're buying November, minus the in the money amount. So this is $3.40 of time value. Okay, and the reason I did this was I want to compare the time value in the November, this is November. I want to compare the time value in the November call with the time value in the June call. So the June call expires tomorrow. The time value is 23 cents. The call that expires in November, the time value is $3.40. So what's happening here? As we get closer to expiration, that time value is eroding. It's disappearing. It's going away. Eventually, this is going to get down to zero. That's what happens to time value. When something expires, it has no more time value. It either has intrinsic value or it doesn't. Okay, if the stock closes at $8.10, what's that call going to be worth? Well, there's no time value left, so it's going to be worth 10 cents. That's all it's worth, 10 cents. Because you could exercise it, and they'll automatically, if it's in the money, your broker will automatically exercise that call option for you. So when you come back on Monday and look at your account, you're going to find out that your Home Depot call that you purchased that expired on Friday was in the money. So your broker went ahead and exercised that for you. And they bought your stock. You bought the stock at $80, and now you have 100 shares of Home Depot stock in your account. And you can sell it at the market. If it opens at $80.10, then you're going to make 10 cents a share. Now, I said that you're not obligated before. I said if you buy a call option, you are not obligated to do anything. But if you hold on to that call option through expiration, they will exercise it if it's in the money. Okay? They want you to get your 10 cents. Okay? They're doing you a favor, actually. If it's in the money, you don't just want it to expire and you lose that 10 cents. Because what if the stock went up to 82? What if it went to 82 and you're holding the $80 call, and now normally you would sell the call before it expires. Again, we're not trying to get into the stock here. We just want to make some money on the call. So you need to close these trades if you're going to do them, which I don't recommend, before expiration. So if you were sitting on the June 80 call, and it's tomorrow, the option's going to expire, and the stock goes up to 82, that call option is going to have $2 of intrinsic value. So what you want to do is, before the end of the day, sell the call. You're going to sell the call for about $2, and you're going to take your couple $100 and run. Okay? What'd you pay for it? Well, you paid 33 cents because the chances of it going to 82 are slim to none, probably. So you sell it for the $2 and you made 600%. That doesn't happen. Don't do that. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is you want to close the trade. You want to sell the call before it expires, because if it goes to expiration and your call is in the money, if the stock is at 82, your broker is going to say, okay, well, they have a call option for $80. Of course they're going to want to use that option because the stock right now is at 82. So we'll go ahead and process that for them, and we're going to get them their 100 shares at 80, and then when they come in on a Monday, they're going to have 100 shares that they paid $80 for, and if they want, they can sell it right away. So you could come in on Monday and sell it for $82 a share, and you'd still make a couple $100. All right. So again, where was I going with this? I think where I was going with this was looking at what happens to the option price as you get closer to expiration. Now again, just to repeat, the November $80 call had an extrinsic value of $3.40. That's time value. It's what people are willing to pay because they think the stock's going to go up between now and then. The June call, which expires tomorrow, only has 23 cents. So again, as you get closer to expiration, that number gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It's going to go down to 0. Now, how do we know how much that is going to change? We can know that number too. That number is called theta. This is that's an important one. Delta tells you, again, how much your option price changes for each dollar move in the underlying stock. Theta tells you how much your option price is going to change based on time decay. Every option that you purchase has time decay because this is happening. Okay, somebody's going to pay time value because they think the stock's going to go up. They're going to pay $3.40, but as you get closer to expiration, that number is going to go down and down and down and down and down and down and down until it gets to 0. So theta, in the case of the November $80 call, I am going to look at the theta. Again, it's on the option chain, which is the price list. And the theta on this is negative 0.011. Now, what does that mean? That means that your call option is going to go down by that amount every day, no matter what happens to the stock price. It's going to erode. If your stock price never moved, which of course we know doesn't happen, but let's just say, it doesn't move, it just stays around 80, goes to $79.99, and the next day it's up to 80, and then maybe it goes to $80 and 2 cents, and then it goes back down. Let's just say it hovers around 80. If that happens, this erosion is still going on. Every day, your call option is going to be worth 1.1 cents per contract share lower than it was when you bought it. So if you are sitting on a call option and you are watching your stock, waiting for it to move, the value of your call is going to go down by that amount every day. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, I know that, but there are times when the theta is higher, all right? And the problem is this kind of eats away at your call slowly. Let's look at the delta on the July the delta on the July 80 call, I'm sorry, the theta. Theta on the July 80 call is 0.021. So every day your call is losing 2 cents just by time decay. Nothing else. It's just going away. Okay, that's why these things are dangerous. You sit there and you think the stock is going to move and you think it's going to move fast because you're smart. You're smart. I know you're smart. You're not. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not stupid, and I've lost a crap load of money. Don't trade. So what people will do is, I talked before about why they would want to buy something that's in the money or something that's out of the money versus in the money. Remember that discussion? However long ago it was. The farther you go out of the money, the less you're going to pay for the call. So you can pay $6.75 for the $75 November call, or you can pay 50 cents for the November call that has a strike price of 90. Is that right? Let me just check, because I'm anal retentive sometimes. Yeah, it's about right. So 55 cents. Call 56. Let me try that again. It was 57 cents before, I think. We'll call it 57. Okay. People see this lower price and they think that's a great deal. That's for the 90. So they think they're being clever when they buy this one because they're saving money. They're saving money. Okay. Instead of paying $675, they pay $57. But the probability of this one making money is much, much lower than the probability of this one making money. Now the same thing happens. This is about strike price. Okay, the other thing that affects the price of the call is the expiration date. So looking at the 80, instead of changing the strike price, let's change the expiration date and use the same strike price. Okay, we're going to look at, let's look at July and November. Okay, the $80 call for July is $1.37 per contract share, so it's going to cost you $137 per contract. The November $80 call is $3.60 per contract share. Okay, they're both at the money. That means they both have no intrinsic value because the stock is selling at 80. Or, maybe they have 10 cents of inventory. Ooh, $80.26. The stock just moved. The stock is now at $80.26. So technically, these do have 26 cents worth of intrinsic value. Because if we were to exercise right now, we would buy for 80. We would sell for $80.23. We would make 23 cents per share. So it's 23 cents in the money. But for the sake of argument, we're going to say it's at the money. So this is time value. This one has $1.37. That's what you're going to pay if it's right at if the stock is right now right at $80, and this is all time value. Or you can buy more time all the way out to November and pay some more. So people think they're being clever because they're getting a deal. They're getting a great bargain. They're only paying $1.37 for this call that expires in July. Or they could pay more than twice that and get some extra time. Now, you're thinking you're clever, and you're probably clever. You probably are. If I haven't lost you by now, you're no slouch anyway. This is preschool, but this stuff is still a little bit complicated. So if I haven't lost you already, wow, you're really dedicated. Wow, you really like this stuff. All right, So anyway, people think they're being clever because they pay less money for this call. But what they don't realize is that the July expiration is 29 days away. All right, that's 29 days. And the break even here is 80 plus $1.37. Break even is 81.37. So they need the stock to move at least to 81.37 before the July expiration, which is 29 days out, in order to break even. Hopefully it goes above that and they make some money. The November contract is 155 days out. And I'm getting that from the option chain. It tells me on my account how many days out this is. Each expiration, it gives me the number of days. The break even is higher. It's 80 plus 360. So your break even is 83.60. So people think they're being clever. They're paying less money, and their break even is lower, but the stock has to move more quickly. You have less cushion if you only give it 28 days. If you give it until November, you have 155 days, and your break even is $3.60. But here's the thing. If you buy this one and the stock does move within 29 days, you're still going to make good money. Because what's going to happen is, if the stock goes to, let's say the stock goes to 84. If it goes to 84 on July, right before the expiration, 28 days from now, just before expiration, let's say the stock's at 84. This one, you're going to be able to sell that option for, it's going to be $4 in the money, and it's probably going to have a little bit of time value. So you're probably going to be able to sell that call option for $4.10, something like that. So you're going to make $4.10 minus what you paid for the call, which is, did I do that right? About 263, 10, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4. Right. So you're going to make, if you bought the July and you sell it because the stock moved to 84 one day before expiration, you're going to make about $263. That's $263 per contract share. Now, if you bought this one, then your call option, you paid a little bit more for it. You paid $360, but this one's going to be worth, this one will be worth more money. It's going to be worth more than $4.10 for this call. Why? Because you still have time value in this call option. If this stock goes to 84, like you thought it would before July, but you bought November because you wanted to buy yourself some cushion, that call, let's just say that call is worth, let's see, if the stock goes to 84 on July, one day before July expiration, but you own the November call, I'm just going to throw a number out there because I don't know, without looking at it more closely, I don't know what the number would be. But I'm going to say that this call might be worth, I'm going to say $5. Let's just say $5 even. So that November call is going to have $4 of intrinsic value. 84 minus 80 is $4. And I'm just going to say it's going to have $1 worth of time value because it still has a bunch of days left to expiration. So if you sell it, you can sell it any time. You could sell it when it goes to 80, when the stock goes to $84. You can get $5 for it. You paid $137, so your gain on this one is going to be $363. Is that right? 10, sorry. I think I did something wrong up there, didn't I? I'm confused. I'm sorry. This is no, that's right. You can do the math. You're preschoolers. You can do the math better than I can. So you can sell the November one, and instead of making $2.63 on the July call, you're going to make $3.63 on the November call, because you're going to get that time value. And you gave the stock more time to move. Because what happens is, again, you think you're being clever by buying July because you're just sure that the stock is going to move when you think it's going to move. And if it doesn't, your stock is going to keep eroding. And why is your stock going to keep eroding? Because that time value is disappearing. And your theta is eating away at your call option every day. So that was the discussion of in the money, out of the money, intrinsic value, extrinsic value, how the option chain or option price changes depending on the strike price, and how your call option value changes depending on the expiration. If you're buying more time, it's going to cost you more money. If you buy less time, it's going to cost you less money. If you buy deeper in the money, that call option is going to have more intrinsic value, so you're going to pay more for it. And if you buy way out of the money, which means the strike price is well above where the stock is trading now, you're going to pay less money because the chances of the stock moving like that are less. I think that's it. Any questions, let me know. This is not all. There's more. We haven't even talked about, we have not talked about implied volatility. Okay? That affects the option price a lot. Implied volatility. But I'll save that for another time because you probably had enough of me for now. So I'll catch you the next time. And don't trade, okay? Please. Buy real estate. Really. Bye.